So, hi there everybody, time to comment on your comments. I'm going to start with this one by Patricia, which wasn't there when I went through them this morning, so I'm going to start with this. Matador. By the way, Alexander, do you know that when I visited Spain as a student, a photographer took a picture of me in the courtyard of a museum? I cannot recall exactly which one it won. Which was it? Manolete? There was a huge bull's head on the outside. So Manolete was a very famous bullfighter from the 50s and the 60s. So it could be, if it was a bullfighting museum. It also probably depends which city. I was in a sari, a black, red and white silk one. The students liked to see me dressed like that. I hope they didn't think I was bait for the bull. Ooh. Maybe that was the photographer's idea. I wasn't wearing the sari below the navel at this time, though, as I used to do, sometimes for certain soirees, especially if the sari happened to be slightly diaphanous, and if I could be escorted by one or several bodyguards. Lovely, Pete. It depends which city you were in, but yeah, a bullfighting museum about Manolete, very, very possible. Okay, so now we get back to the beginning of this. Oh, that actually reminds me, there's one other little question I wanted to look at. I had a question from somebody called Georgi about the difference between a ghost and an apparition. Let's see, I think generally these two words are incredibly close. Yeah, I think technically a ghost is a disembodied soul. So a ghost is the soul of a person, whereas an apparition is any manifestation. Yeah, any of various manifestations. So, I don't know, if you see a manifestation of a wolf, technically it's an apparition, not a ghost. But apart from that, I think effectively they're the same. Yeah, I think apparition is certainly more general. So, Fran, hi Fran, thanks again for another video. My pleasure, Fran. Okay, and I answered this one to Funda as well. I have a feeling YouTube's on the blink. And AA, great to see you, much obliged. And hey Manny, great to see you. And what does itch mean? And what is the difference between scratch versus itch? And there's a very nice definition here by VG. To scratch is transitive, to itch is intransitive. Yeah, so my arm itches, so I scratch it. Yeah, I scratch my arm, transitive, but my arm itches. The thing that itches is the feeling, and to scratch is your reaction to stop it. So when your itch arrives, you scratch it. However, in some English-speaking countries, you can use itch. Yeah, I'm going to itch my itch, but I don't like that very much, instead of scratch. But it's usually considered very informal. I've scratched my arms many times today. Correct, neutral. I've itched my arm many times today. Not grammatically correct, but used in informal settings in some places. To some people it may sound strange, depending where and who you're talking to. Very good, VG. Use scratch as the verb to relieve yourself and itch the other way around. And you've got claps from Manji. Good definition. We're going to make you into a teacher yet, VG. You see. And Patricia. Hi P. There are painting competitions where artists have to paint a picture after an author's description of whatever. And one of them was a painting by Berthe Morisot, an impressionist artist, a friend of mine, and also part of the impressionist clique. Yeah, I was happy to be honoured with a prize because I love this school of painting, and because the painter behind the work, inspiring the description, was a woman. We do not know the piece of work behind the description. We learn of it only after the results of the competition are disclosed. I hope my word descriptions are a more or less apt portrayal, a good limb, I love that word, of my painting projects, for I would be remiss if this was not so. Yes, your descriptions of pictures are very good. Yeah, they're very literary, and they bring in it to mind the image of what you're talking about. And glass, hi Glassudine. So, is there a difference between tie and buckle? So again, buckle is to fix with a buckle. Yeah, whereas to tie, you have to make a knot, so you could tie your shoelaces. Yeah, maybe you've got buckles on your shoes and you could buckle your shoes. Buckles are not very common on shoes nowadays. Yeah, maybe you've got buckles on your boots. It's possible. Yeah, so to tie is physically to tie. You've got two long ends and you make a knot, whereas buckle is to fix a buckle. I think these are certainly more different to buckle and fasten. I think to tie is another method of fastening things. My pleasure, VG. And hi, 47. And Charlotte Rose, a lovely pink rose. There was some argy-bargy when the shopkeeper gave the man incorrect change. Good. There was a bit of argy-bargy, I like this, a bit of argy-bargy, when the bouncer wouldn't let a group of revellers enter the club. Good English. Two drivers argy-bargied in the street after their cars had almost been involved in a collision. Sounds like road rage. Good English. The two flatmates argy-bargied about the unpaid rent that they owed for their shared property. Good English again. And Chris. Hi, Chris. I live in Australia. Yes, they probably spend their time calling you that whinging pom. I live in Australia, a decadent country indeed. One might say it's sinking under the weight of its own wickedness and corruption. The culture death of society. Good English, I love it. Well done, Chris. And Arif, thanks, fantastic. Ruffled feathers. Okay. So, this is the God Squad. Are you a good person? Well, that's a hell of a question to start with. Firstly, you need to define what is good and what is bad. I think we need a deep discussion about that, because I think good and bad is relative. What is good for me may be bad for you, and vice versa. So, also, are you a good question? This is trying to prompt the answer yes. Let's check and see. Also with this question, are you a good person? It says people are only good or bad. Yeah? What about somewhere in between? Yeah. So let's check and see. Have you ever stolen? It depends on the situation. Even if it's something really small or not worth much. Well, let's see. I would definitely steal to feed starving kids. I don't consider that theft at all. Have you ever lied? It depends on the situation again. Have you ever looked with lust? Oh, it sounds like you spend your life looking but never touching. Now, have you ever taken the Lord's name in vain? Certainly I have. Have you ever hated someone? If you've ever done any of those things, you would either be a liar, a thief, an adulterer, or looking with lust. Let's see, I think I've probably broken all of these commandments except the one, thou shalt not kill. And that again depends on context. I think the Quran probably has a much better version of this rule. You mustn't kill except under reasonable circumstances. So, for example, euthanasia, I believe in absolutely. Come on, stop proselytizing. To proselytize, that's what this person is doing. I think you have your right to believe what you want, but there's no need to foist it off on me. And Adeji, hi Adeji Dorcas. The food being served at the party was bland. Very good, Adeji. And the frightened child's intense, liquid, hopeful. This time it's not quite fixed, yeah? Staring, unmoving, not moving away. And the answer to this one is unflinching. Thanks, Fluke. And I hate it a lot when I'm doing something crucial and there's a clamour of noises around. Very, very definitely. I find it difficult to concentrate when there's a clamour around me. So, Theo, or Theo, drown versus sink. Okay, they're very different. To drown means to die in liquid or to die with due to lack of oxygen. You could drown in carbon dioxide. Whereas to sink just means to go down in a liquid. Glug, 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 glug. So a diver puts weights around his waist, he puts an oxygen tank on his back, he puts the oxygen in his mouth, he jumps into the water and sinks. But he doesn't drown. Drown means to die, yeah? Or to try to kill. He tried to drown me. Thank you, Theo. And Narasima. So, hi Narasima. Super explanation. Tussle, thanks. And Mohammed. Listening to native speakers talking will sure buttress your English. Good English, well done. Her beauty belied the fact that she's 55 years old. That's very good English as well. And Tejaswini. Hi Tejaswini. Hello sir, I have a question. All the words in these options seem similar. How to tell which one suits the best? Well, the way you're going to have to do it is to research each of the words, because these words, they're all slightly different. They all have slightly different nuances. Yeah, I don't know. For example, stalwart. Stalwart talks about loyalty. It talks about unflinching loyalty, whereas unflinching is more general. Yeah, and stalwart, again, constant support of somebody. So the way to do this is you can go through, I would guess nearly all of these words are in my channel, or go to a dictionary and look how they're used. It's the only way if you don't know them really well. Very often I consider this exercise as challenging even for native speakers. Well, that's the idea of it. So, P, hi. The Din-e-Ilahi was a religion founded by the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Akbar the Great. Yes, during the 16th century. So in the Mughal Empire at its height, it attested his liberal ideas. I might say attested too, but it attested his liberal ideas on different faiths and was based on the best precepts of several religions. I think that's a very good a good thing. I think we need to look at everything in life and choose the good things and forget about the bad things. Though it did not flourish as did Islam, it can be considered as proof that an emperor, though albeit born into Islam, had made a concerted effort to unite different religions and different ways of thinking to promote peace, brotherhood and harmony in a multifaceted India of a bygone epoch. Yes, if he's trying to reduce religious tensions, I think that's a really fantastic thing to do. Okay, and clouds, these look like little plants growing, the beginning of spring. And Sydney. Romans 10:9. We got the God Squad again. Let's see, if this was about buy my product or use my method, this would be spam. Yeah, and clearly it is spam. At least the previous one had a little bit of rhetoric to it, but well, this one looks to me like it's just quoting. Let's see, you have the right to your opinion, but I don't have to listen to yours. Yeah, especially as it's something I've studied quite hard and come to my own conclusions rather than listening to the dogma, Sydney. Okay, so Orkan Aleyev, hi Orkan. So, great, thanks for watching. George Abraham, like I said, isn't it an Americanism? I understand it should be as I said in British English. Well, I've heard lots of British people say, like I said. Yeah, I think I don't like I said very much. I think it's not very good English. As I said, this is much better. Yeah, as I said, I would recommend just don't use like I said. As I said, and this is where I probably say it. Okay, for learn, this is a real problem. This thing. So bailout, ALE, and bailout mean similarly, except for spelling. Okay, so let's see. Technically, when you jump out of an aircraft, I think the preferred spelling is B-A-L-E. As in to bale, to make a bale of hay, B-A-L-E. Yeah, whereas bail, B-A-I-L, to take out water. However, if you follow this link, you'll find that there are both spellings for to bail out of an aeroplane, and I think it maybe depends if you're considering that you're being thrown out like a bale of hay, B-A-L-E, or you're bailing out like somebody throwing out water. And if you look here, you will find examples of both spellings. So I would recommend stick to B-A-L-E for the aeroplane, but I think an examiner would be very pushed to mark you wrong if you wrote A-I-L. So B-A-L-E, a bale of hay. B-A-I-L, to bail out. Okay, yes. Bailed into a bale. He bailed the hay into a bale. B-A-L-E. So, whoops, I've hearted myself. Well, why not? P. I would never like to play the role of arbitre, of arbiter or referee, in attempt to mediate or intercede. Definitely arbiter. You can make an enemy of a friend and a friend of an enemy. In short, you might be adding fuel to the fire, and the issue finally ends up in court. Yeah, when people have an argument, it's not a good idea to get between them, because you end up as the person responsible. Thanks for the hint. Thanks for replying to my question about explode. And yes, it had been hot here since September 2021. However, last Sunday, 20th of March, with the arrival of autumn, the weather is now a bit cool, brisk, nearly cold. You see, I'm sure your definition of cold, VG, and mine are totally different. It's somewhat mixed. It's hot and cool at the same time. Okay, and AK. Hello, sir. Generally, causative verbs are used when talking about works that someone else does for you. But I watched a video where a janitor was sweeping. When some students were disturbing him, he said, "I have to get it done." He was doing it himself, so why did he say, "I have to get it done"? I think this is also perfectly valid. I have to finish it, as in somebody has to finish it, and that somebody is me, Muggins. Yeah, okay, so I think that's why he said I have to get it done. Yeah, it's okay when you do it yourself as well. In this case, yeah. But if he can't say, "I have to have it done." I need to have it done. Yes, he could. I need to have it done by 4 o'clock. So, yes, you can, AK, but it's less common. Okay, and hi VG and hi AK. Great to see you both. And hi AK and hi VG. Yo to both of you. Whoops. And AK, when I was having my afternoon nap, a flim-flam salesman showed up and tried to sell me such cheap products. I hate that when you're having a nice afternoon nap and then somebody comes and wakes you up or rings you on the phone. Would you like to buy? Go away, I was asleep. And let's see, forlearn. I've already hearted you, forlearn. So thank you, sir. Could you also tell if a verb can be ensued after bail? For example, a friend bails out of coming to the party. Or a sponsor of the business bails out of helping. Yeah, he bailed out. I would probably say he bailed out from coming to the party. He bailed out of coming. I think you could use of as well. And pitching in for their project when prices go down and plunge. Yes, you most certainly can forlearn. These two verbs are really hard. And VG, the teacher told each of us to write an opinion piece on a matter, subject, topic, theme we were interested in, and asked us not to write any flim-flam in it. Very good use. Well done, VG. And 47. The politician who's always up to funny business tried giving a hate speech and flim-flammed his supporters into believing that people across other castes and religions should be killed. Boof. That's a really bad person. Yeah. Let's see. We are all individuals. We don't belong in castes. So, forlearn, flim-flam, dross, nonsense mean the same. Yes. This word also exists in my language, but I haven't used it. Flim-flam into buying is swindle, very definitely. Yes, they tried to flim-flam me into buying rotten products. Live, hi there, Live, great to see you. Ooh, sorry. My grandmother uses this word a lot. Is it a commonly used word amongst the older generation? Sorry, it is a commonly used word among the older generation in the Caribbean. I thought it was a made-up word. What a surprise. Let's see, I would say flim-flam. It might be a little bit old-fashioned in the UK, but I mean, you could definitely hear it. And they are already aware that in the end the police chief may order more officers to open up a new file and look into this obvious financial flim-flam. Okay, that works quite nicely. I think maybe flim-flam's a little bit informal for this, but it's okay, VG. And they tried to flim-flam him out of his residence, but they weren't able to. Good. Carolina is being accused of flim-flamming their customers. Good English. I guess that Carolina's a business. Okay, woo. So what's the difference between the verbs tick off, tell off? So to tick someone off, that wasn't very good. Notice to tick off, quite informal. The teacher ticked me off for arriving late. Yeah, you can tick somebody off for a minor offence. Yeah, not something very serious. To tell off. Okay, I think to tell off's a bit more formal than to tick off. Yeah, again, you tell somebody off for doing something wrong, but it's not a major offence. A reprimand. This sounds much more formal. This sounds like in the workplace. The company gave me an official reprimand for not doing my job properly. Reprimand, much more formal. To scold. This is a mother being angry with her child because he hasn't done his homework. Scold, neutral formality. But again, you scold somebody for not doing something or for doing something naughty, but nothing bad. To rebuke. Okay, rebuke's a bit stronger, but still, you rebuke somebody. You shouldn't have done that. Again, it's not a terribly serious offence, but notice to rebuke is a much more formal word. I'd probably give it a 6.5. To chide. Chide is like scold. You shouldn't have done that. It's very naughty. Again, nothing very serious. To upbraid. Okay, to upbraid. This is a much more formal literary word. I get the feeling to upbraid is to be angry with someone in front of other people. So the teacher upbraided me in front of the class. So I think it's got the idea of to upbraid, to tell somebody off, reprimand somebody in public. To admonish. Yes. Okay. To admonish is very close to warn. Yeah, he admonished me. Again, to admonish for a minor offence, but maybe 6.5 in formality. To reproach. You shouldn't have done it like that. You should have done it like this. Again, not very serious. To reprove. Ooh, this one's pretty formal and literary. I think I'm going to go up to 7 for this. The boss reproved me for acting stupidly. Okay, chastise. Okay, so you can use chastise meaning to tell off, but also to chastise means to punish. So the teacher chastised me by putting me in detention. Yeah, I think this is sort of like scold, but a much more formal and old-fashioned one. To chide, we did to chide. It's like to scold, but more literary and old-fashioned. To berate, to go on and on telling somebody this was really bad. Yeah, is when you're berating somebody, you're shouting at them and you're really angry, but you go on and on and on. Quite a formal literary word. To pull somebody up, to stop them. So, yeah, he pulled me up over this. You shouldn't have done this. Again, if you pull somebody up, it's not a very serious offence. I think this is fairly informal, probably about a 4. To castigate. Very formal, very literary, 7.5. Castigate means to punish, yeah, to actually punish them. So, I don't know, yeah, in the Middle Ages they used to castigate people by putting them in the stocks. These are like a piece of wood round your head and your arms, and you have to stand in a public place. To dress down. Okay, to dress down is to be angry with somebody, sometimes in public, but not necessarily. He dressed me down. Yeah, you shouldn't have done that. But again, maybe medium severity, but nothing very serious. To chew at. I think I would say to chew out. Very informal. To be angry with someone. The boss chewed me out. Yeah, he was pretty angry, but at least he didn't go on for too long. To bawl at without the R. To bawl at is to shout at. He bawled at me. Yeah, but notice to bawl at, you can be angry with the person, or he was bawling at me to stop what I was doing. And to tear someone off a strip, pretty informal. Yeah, this is somebody who's very angry with you. I would say a medium level offence. Yeah, very informal, maybe a 3.5. And to give someone a rocket, to be really, really angry with them. Again, very informal. Yeah, the teacher gave me a rocket for something, but at least he didn't send me to the headmaster. Okay, so to be very angry with someone. To give someone what for. Very informal again. When I find him, I'll give him what for. But what for could be telling him off or reprimanding the person, or it could be I'm going to hit him. Yeah, so it could go both ways with to give someone what for. And then to haul someone over the coals. Well, also give someone what for, informal, definitely. And to haul or drag someone over to the coals, to reprimand them really quite strongly. Yeah. Okay, so I was hauled over the coals for losing the contract, but again, informal. This seems a bit more public and a bit more businessy. So I hope that's helped, VG. She was given a rocket when her flim-flam was discovered. I like the formality of flim-flam, goes very well with given a rocket. Quite informal, good. It's it's odd to know it's quite easy to flim-flam people who are too religious. You just need to use the name of God in your words and they will believe them. Thank you, VG. A good one. I'm happy to hear that you weren't flim-flammed by that street vendor that came here last week. Good English. And Mannequin. I tussled with my girlfriend. Good. 2 kids were tussling over something picayune. Good. A tussle isn't a real fight. I said no tussling. No tussling pelt the man. I wonder what you mean by pelt here. I said no tussling, repeated the man. I don't know. I don't know what you mean by pelt here. To pelt is to throw things at somebody. Yeah? Okay, and VG. So what's the difference between difficult to and difficulty doing? So if something is difficult to do, it's not easy to do. Generally, for everybody, it's not easy. Whereas if you have difficulty doing something, maybe it's easy for most people. So difficulty doing means this specific person has difficulty doing it. But if it's difficult to do, you're saying generally it's difficult. I've always had a lot of difficulty to do this. You say a lot of difficulty to do this. I would use the second one here. I've always had a lot of difficulty doing this. Yeah, people say this is difficult to do. I think it would work better like that, VG. And Mannequin. The salesman flim-flammed a lot of people. The conversation was flim-flam. Good. And BG, the vendor tried to flim-flam me out of 50 reals, but I didn't fall into that trap, of course. Good, VG. The police have caught the flim-flam lady that nearly flim-flammed us yesterday. Okay, the flim-flam lady could be. The flim-flamming lady, maybe as an adjective, might sound better. And many reports of paranormal happenings, occurrences, events, incidents, affairs wind up being flim-flam when they're looked into carefully. Good example. I'd never believe his flim-flam. I've heard a lot about him lately. I've just made a mistake. Well,